Hey guys, in today's video, I will be listing off my top 10 for the best legs in bodybuilding. For the judging criteria, I was looking at the overall lower body package, calves included of course. Condition and muscularity were the most important factors. However, things like flow and consistency played minor roles in my judging. Before the video starts, there are some honorable mentions like Paul DeMeo, Andreas Munzer, Dennis Wolf, Chris Cormier. The list really goes on and on, guys. For a quick explanation of why they are honorable mentions, they pretty much had a glaring weak point or, a flaw relative to the rest of their overall package. Lastly, before the video starts, if you could take a quick second to like and subscribe, it would really be much appreciated. And with that all being said, let's get into this video. Starting off this list in 10th place is Samson DAUDA, the 2023 Arnold Classic winner. This guy is just a massive bodybuilder all around, and his legs are definitely no exception. He possesses some of the largest quads in today's lineup, along with some impressively dug out hamstrings from behind. Just take a second to look at his quad sweep from the front, along with all the detail and cuts in his side leg. The only downside to his legs is, that his glutes are somewhat lackluster in comparison to his quads and hamstrings, really only lacking condition. Also, before I forget, he has decent calves as well. Nothing crazy, definitely above the standard for modern bodybuilders, though. Anyways, if he manages to come in absolutely peeled at the 2023 Mr. Olympia, he could definitely move higher on this list. Dorian Yates takes the ninth place spot, and while some people may think this is controversial, let me explain. Yates never really had the best quads, definitely far from having the best for sure, but he had some of the best conditioned legs ever. Striations for days in the glutes, ripped and developed hamstrings, enormous calves, and while not the best, very impressive separated quads. You just can't deny that the overall package was a sight to behold, especially at the 1993 Mr. Olympia, where he arguably had some of his best conditioning. Moreover, his trademark grainy condition really showed throughout his legs, and you can clearly see it here in the side leg. I can definitely see, some of you relegating Yates to an honorable mention spot. However, I always have been impressed by the total leg package he brought, and I believe he deserves a spot on this list. In eighth place is PACO Bautista, possessing some of the freakiest and grainiest legs ever. From the front, this guy's quads were huge, peeled, and grainy, with some amazing sweep to them. I mean, take a look at the thin skin condition on this guy once again. I mean, wow, that is ridiculous, guys. From the side, this guy's legs had crazy definition, and from behind, his glutes and hamstrings looked next level. And take a look at the calf department. Really, I mean, everything is great. The only thing I would, maybe pick him on is that he needs more hamstrings from the side, as they don't nearly look as good as they do from behind. Regardless, the granite-like condition that he possesses, along with those insane quads, places him in a very respectable eighth place. Phil Heath takes the seventh place spot on this list, featuring some enormous legs. From the front, his quads are huge, ripped, and separated, with great sweep, of course. From the side, he displays phenomenal separation and cuts, along with a pretty huge hamstring, but, from the back is where things really get impressive. His glutes were always in perfect condition, and his hamstrings looked even better from behind than they did from the side. Now, I will say that his legs are a little bit quad dominant, and you can clearly see that from his front shots. Moreover, from the front, you can notice his rather decent calves, which almost get dwarfed by his massive quads. There really aren't any downsides to Phil's legs, however, he kind of lacks that wow factor that, others possess later on this list. In the sixth place spot is Branch Warren with his grainy, huge legs. I mean, wow. Take a look at the sweep, the cuts, and the separation on those quads. In my opinion, Branch has all the positives of Heath, but with, some meteor calves. From the side, his legs have all the detail one would ever need, with a nice quad sweep and a solid hanging hamstring. From behind, his hamstrings and glutes are peeled and conditioned to a T, with really no weak points. I just think that others on this list, similar to Phil Heath, have more wow factor to them, but that really doesn't take away from this impressive sixth place spot. In fifth place is Kai Green, who I feel beat Phil Heath from the waist down. The most iconic part of Kai's legs were definitely his quads, with some world class feathering in them, which really many don't possess today, or really ever. Speaking of beating Phil, take a look at Kai's side leg in comparison to Phil. I mean, his hamstring and quads look twice as large, not to mention the detail that he possesses throughout the tie ins. From behind, his legs were just as impressive with striated glutes and piano like, hamstring wires. I mean, it's crazy. I will say that his calves were not too impressive, maybe even worse than Phil's. However, the sheer mass and quality Kai had from the side, along with his breathtaking feathered quads, were enough to place him in fifth. Jay Cutler takes the fourth place spot on this list with even crazier feathered quads. I mean, if you thought Kai's quad feathering was impressive, take a look at Jay's quad stomp from 2009. Just insane. In my opinion, I think Jay Cutler has the second best quads of all time, really because of the sheer detail he was able to obtain from the front, but also from the sweep and the flow of them. From the side, his legs were not as impressive as the front, but he still maintained solid detail, and from behind, while he often came in with soggy glutes, in 2009 they were definitely peeled and grainy. As you can see, his glutes and hamstrings are peeled, and his calves are really not bad at all, although, they're nothing really too special. I do think his 2009 quad stomp solidified him a placing on any top 10 best legs list, and of course, his overall package, while being way, way better from the front, still is enough to land within the top 5. In third place is Big Ramy with probably the biggest quads of all time, no doubt. The sweep and the mass he has almost looks unreal, especially earlier on in his career. He definitely struggled with condition in those quads, but when he put it together, he sure did look amazing. I mean, from the side, he also has some of the most detailed legs ever, in my opinion, as you can clearly see the glute striations peeking through there, and from behind, he had good glutes and hamstrings, but really nothing as impressive as from the front or the side. Unfortunately, his massive quads sometimes overshadowed his other muscles. Like from behind, you can notice that, his quad sweep overshadows his well developed glutes and hamstrings. His decent calves also fall victim to his world class quads, making them look smaller than they actually are. Furthermore, his inconsistent condition made it very difficult to, reveal the true potential of Ramy's legs. But regardless, his legs overall most definitely deserve to be in the third place. This placing may be controversial, but in second place is the quad father Tom Platz. I say controversial since I know many may think he is the best of all time, and in many ways he really is. I mean, he had the best quads of all time in my opinion, which is even more impressive when you consider that he competed in the 1980s. Platz's separation and development was way ahead of his time, and absolutely no one had legs nearly as impressive as him on stage. From the side, his hamstring drop was equally as impressive, and his side leg dwarfed others that stood next to him. Even from the back, this man had striated glutes, which is crazy to say as they were practically unheard of at the time. His hamstrings were also clearly well developed, however, bodybuilders did not highlight them as much from behind, but it is evident that with a quick flex, they would be ripped and conditioned. Platz also had some insane calves, probably the best on this list next to someone like Dorian Yates. But Dorian Yates might also win. I don't know. That might be a comparison in the future. Overall, there really is not anything negative to say about his legs. However, I believe the first place finisher took things to another dimension. In first place is Ronnie the King Coleman. Ronnie had a whole grocery list of outstanding body parts. However, I feel that his legs often get overlooked. Ronnie's quads were some of the most massive from the front of all time, having perfect separation and quad sweep for days. From the side, his legs had some great detail, but in the mandatories, he seemed to not showcase his side leg in the best fashion. In this 3/4 twisting double bicep shot, you can clearly see how massive and impressive his side leg was. I mean, take a look at that hamstring and, the separation in the legs as a whole. From behind, it's really a no-brainer. I mean, he had easily the best hamstrings and glutes combination from behind, as they really did look next level. And speaking of his glutes, they were definitely the most freaky body part on his lower body, as nobody has ever really showcased such development coupled with the condition. The only negative of his legs would be his calves, which are definitely lagging in comparison to the aforementioned muscles, but they were not bad enough to, penalize him. Overall, Ronnie has the best legs of all time, in my opinion, and I hope you guys see why I put him over others on this list. Concluding this video, I hope you all enjoyed and can understand the placings and the picks for this list. There are a whole host of bodybuilders with exceptional legs, and if you think I missed anyone, please let me know down below. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing, and with that, thank you for watching.